What's going on, guys? In today's video, we are finally building the bottom end for my Silvia. So I've been talking about it for ages, been procrastinating and putting it off, and today finally gonna do it. So come here this morning after I have been running around all morning going and getting a bunch of bits and pieces that I need. I went and picked up some engine assembly lube, some grease for the oil pump. Also went and picked up this, which makes it easier getting the rings over the pistons, and went and picked myself up a torque wrench. So I've been here for probably like the last half hour or so, just gapping my top rings. Didn't bother filming it because I just wanted to start cracking away on it. Done all of the top rings here, so I gapped all of these to 19 thou on the feeler gauge, which is the gap we're going to be running for the top rings. And now I am about to do the second row of rings, and we're going to do these at 23 thou. So remember a while ago in the video where we sort of just had a look at the gaps in the rings to see if we were going to need to file them or not. Patch it, didn't fucking read it properly, and he actually got them back to front. Thought that it was 23 thou on the top and 19 thou on the second row, but thank you to Zach Sawyer for pointing out that that was incorrect, and luckily he did, because if we had have gone and gapped them back to front, that would have been a giant waste of time. Top row's done, now I'm about to crack on with the second row, and then mate's gonna come over later on this afternoon and help me assemble the bottom end, because I've never done this before. I have a pretty good idea of what needs to be done, but this kind of thing you can never really be too careful. It's better to be safe than sorry. How we are going to do this, because these rings, obviously when we gap them per cylinder, obviously we're gapping them for that cylinder, so they have to go back in that cylinder, hence why I've gridded them out like I did. So we'll take piston one, we'll just put it into the bore, nice like that. We get a piston, press it down to make sure it's nice and even. So this piston still has the old rings on it, which kind of like sits against the bore. Just definitely make sure that that ring is sitting in the bore nice and flush. It's not sort of wonky, which could give us an incorrect reading on the gap. So then go here, it's still 19 thou, so I've got to find the 23. So now what we do, we go in, put that in there. And off the bat, this ring needs to be gapped a lot, because with the first row of rings, straight away I could still get the 19 thou feeler in there. It was just really tight. But with this one, I can't even get it in there at all. So with this, we're gonna have to take quite a lot off. Now keep in mind, I did say in the last video when we were checking the rings that couldn't find a ring filer. So I am doing it real old fashioned way, I guess. Just putting it against the vise and using just a normal file. There's nothing wrong with doing this, it's just a little bit more of a pain in the ass and it takes a little bit longer. So this can be quite a slow, time consuming process, because you don't want to do too much. So you want to do bit by bit, measure it, do some more, measure it. Because you can quite easily go too much, and once you do, then it's too late really after that. Gone through and I've gapped all of the rings now. These are all ready to go onto the pistons, and then the pistons into the block. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting these oil squirters back in. Because this is a genuine turbo motor, they come with these little oil squirters that go here, but they were removed by the machine shop when they did the honing for the bores. I've just got them in a little bag here, and basically what they do is they just obviously squirt oil onto the bores for extra lubrication and help with heat and stuff like that. But yeah, the non-turbo motors don't have the oil squirters, it's just the genuine DET motors that do. So if you ever go to pull down an RB and it doesn't have oil squirters, it's not a genuine turbo motor. A little update, got the oil squirters in and block's pretty much ready to start getting assembled now. Corey's here.
Hi.
Hi Corey. So I am putting all the rings that I have gapped onto the pistons, and you are...
I'm going to put the crank in and make sure the end float is good.
Sweet. Things I don't know how to do.
Yeah, just with the fast washer, just make sure its tolerance is all good.
I have just gone and put all the rings in the pistons, and Corey's gone and put the crank into the motor here. So now we're going to start putting the pistons into the motor. And here is my ring compressor.
I fucking hate ring compressors.
Why is that?
Oh, they're just shit. They're not shit, but...
They're shit. They're not shit, but they're shit.
They're not shit, but they're shit. Grab a ratchet. Put an extension on it.
this motor's starting to come together.
Before we go any further, I'm just going to check. Because one will be for intake, one will be for exhaust.
Ah, true. They are, the valves are different, the seats. Wait, no, what are these called when they're cut into the piston like that? Valve reliefs.
The exhaust is the smaller ones.
Yeah, so that's right.
I thought it was. Fake it till you make it, right?
Hey, that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. Right, so sorry for the abrupt cut to the video to now. Unfortunately, last night when I was editing the video, realized that all the footage up to, well, from the point that you guys have just seen onwards had no sound. The GoPro did die at one point, so I did have to change the battery, and I have an external mic now. So the only thing that I can think of is that maybe I didn't plug it in, but then I feel like the sound would be cutting in and out, and it just was not there at all. Like, the footage is fine, but yeah, there's just no sound. It's a bit unfortunate. We did get the motor together, however. As you can see here, all the pistons are in. Bottom end is assembled. So like I said, the footage actually is still there, so I'll chuck a time lapse in of us building the motor now. Corey did a lot of it. I had to go, doing a few things because obviously I did want to be hands-on with this. So yeah, I'll chuck that in now, and then we'll cut back to this and I'll talk a little bit about sort of what we did and sort of what the plans are now. So yep, that is my RB20 bottom end assembled and ready for the head and stuff to go back on it so I can go back in the Silvia. So I'm going to give a massive shout out to Corey for coming down and giving me a hand. I could have done this myself without any help. Putting a motor together actually isn't like really that hard, especially after doing it. It's just common sense really, like torque the bolts in the right sequence, torque them to spec, make sure the clearances and the ring gaps and stuff are fine. But it did help just having someone there that had done this before, and so yeah, again, big shout out to Corey from Immense Motorsport. So I'll chuck a link to his Instagram in the description below, so go follow him, check him out, give him some love, and yeah. Basically what we did was obviously Corey put the crank cradle in and stuff, started putting the first few pistons and rods in, and then after he had done a few, I decided to have a go at it myself, and I put in sort of like the last couple, which was cool. And once all that stuff was done, also put the back plate on here with the rear main seal. So it's all nice. It's cleaned up a little bit, so it's looking pretty good. Kind of want to clean up the oil pump a little bit. Oil pump housing, probably should have done that before we put it on, but can still do that while it's on. So what we did with this was I actually had to duck down to Super Cheap and grabbed this little impact driver thing here. So what that does is you just sort of put that on like a screw and you can kind of smack it, and it like forces it down and twists it, because the oil pump has a sort of like little plate on the inside of it on the back, which the actual oil pump gear is inside of that. So we had to take that off, and we filled up the inside of the oil pump with assembly lube. The reason for doing that is just if there's something in there, like assembly lube in there, it just gives the oil pump sort of something to grab while we're priming it, and just helps get oil pressure instead of just trying to grab air. Slightly lessens the chance of running a bearing. So yeah, we did that, and the only thing that I have to really do now is just put the head back on. So the reason I didn't do that is because I actually got my sump off Robbie. Robbie from JB Fad has modified my sump, and I cleaned it out and it was still wet, so didn't go putting that on. But yeah, this sump is pretty cool. So obviously Robbie, JB Fab, shout out to JB Fab. He has put this sort of like winged, like extended sump on. So obviously this means you can hold a bit more oil. It's got a nice bung there, and my fitting for the head drain. The cool thing about this is on the sides, it's got track doors in it. So what that does when the car's going side to side, the trap doors will stay shut if the oil was going that way, and it stops the oil from going sort of too far that way, but these ones will open up and allow oil to flow into the pickup. He's also put these little diversions here. So say the oil is going that way, there's a little diversion that's angled like that, so the oil pickup is there. It'll divert the oil into the pickup, just lessens chance of you losing oil pressure. It's a must with RBs because they do have oiling issues. One of the main things is that they like to fill the head up with oil and sort of, you know, leaves no oil left in the bottom end for the pickup to grab, which is where also the head drain comes in. So that is something I have to do as well. You guys saw in a previous video, got my Franklin Performance head drain. So I've just got to take out that sort of like casting plug or frost plug or whatever it's called. Just pop that out, they're real easy to pop out. And then got to take that, place it against the head, and then just drill 2 holes for it to bolt to. I've got to tap them as well. Got to do that while the heads are off the motor, just makes it easier to clean it up afterwards. So obviously we don't want any metal going into the motor. I'll be doing that at a probably later date, probably the next video actually. I'll be honest, been slacking big time with this thing over the last sort of like month and a bit. Could have done this a lot sooner, but just haven't really had like much motivation. Obviously moving as well took up a lot of time. But now seeing the bottom end together is giving me so much more motivation to work on this thing and get this thing done. Because realistically, there isn't that much more that needs to be done to this car. Like once the head's on, it can go into the car. My wiring's done, pretty much all my fab's done. The only thing I still have to wire up is like the fuel pumps and sort the battery, and then sort the fuel lines and stuff out for the surge tank as well. Because if you remember a while ago, got surge tank here, so that's good. And then I also still need to clean up my brake calipers here and chuck them on. Could just chuck them on like that, but don't want to. Take a little bit of time and tidy them up before it goes on. And then apart from that, it's not really much more to do to this car. So it's getting close now, guys, and I'm super stoked. It's been a long build, long process, but it's coming together. A bit unfortunate about the sound situation, but it is what it is. You live and you learn. I'll definitely make sure that the mic is plugged in future. Still don't know if that was actually what it was, but it's the only thing me and Mike can sort of really put it down to. We were talking about it last night. Anyway, cheers for watching, guys. Appreciate the support. 6K, we did it. I really want to get to 10K before mid-year. I think I can do it. I'm really going to try and push to get as many videos out as I can while still trying to keep the quality up. Got to stop making mistakes like losing my SD card and getting footage with no sound though, but like I said, it's those things that you live and you learn. But yeah, anyway, cheers for watching, guys. You know the deal, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, catch you in the next one.